At Canadian Tire, profit isn't just by luck. Prices change, promotions appear, and reward programs speak in tiny details most shoppers never notice. The patterns are quiet, precise, and carefully planned to guide choices without anyone realizing it. Only by looking closely, or stepping behind the counter, do you see how products are positioned, how sales are structured, how every item is designed to shape spending. Once you understand these hidden systems, the store stops feeling ordinary and becomes a system of purchase, where every product is an identity. Today, we're revealing the important things you need to know before shopping at Canadian Tire, and the last one is sure to surprise you. Discounts are actually markups. When you walk into a Canadian Tire, one of the first things you notice isn't a product, it's a price tag. It's mostly a bright sticker with the word discount in bold print. These are meant to signal a deal, something special, something you shouldn't miss. When you slow down and watch closely, you notice the surface start to feel thinner. At that instant, what feels like savings may be more storytelling than actual discounting. In 2025, the Competition Bureau of Canada reiterated that businesses can't just invent a regular price to make a sale look dramatic. If a product has never genuinely been sold at a regular price, showing it as $100 now, $50 isn't just clever marketing. Legally, it can be considered misleading marketing, which violates the Competition Act. Real regular prices must either be sold at that price often or sold at that price for a substantial period before being used to compare a supposed discount. This legal backdrop matters because it sets the expectation. In Canada, the price claims should be honest, but real-world pricing doesn't always match that ideal. If you spend time watching Canadian Tire's flyers or in-store labels, a clear pattern emerges. Some sales are deeply discounted compared to the printed regular price, only to discover that price wasn't actually common for months before the sale. Many products sit on the shelf, sporting figures at or near their so-called sale price for weeks or months. Then they suddenly get tagged with an inflated regular price, right before a promotion. Online consumers have noticed this too. When users track prices on community forums and tracking websites, they sometimes find that the sale price at Canadian Tire isn't lower than what other retailers offer year-round. In some cases, other stores sell the same product cheaper, even without a sale. Yet Canadian Tire's signage makes its discount seem larger or more impressive. Surprising? Shoppers on discussion boards also point out that Canadian Tire's pricing can vary drastically between locations because each store is individually run by a dealer. One location might put an item on a red tag sale for a limited local promotion, while another still sells it at what it calls a higher regular price, even though neither price reflects a real historical average. It's not unusual for online retail watchers, and even employees, to comment that some sale tags feel more like presentation than price truth. A grill might be marked down from a supposed $999 regular price to $699 on sale. But another nearby store might list it at $799 year-round, without ever seeing the higher number. Canadian Tire does have policies aimed at competitive pricing. In the past, it stated price match guarantees, allowing customers to match a local competitor's price, suggested a willingness to compete fairly. However, in practice, the application of price matching varies by location, and some stores no longer match competitor prices outside of other Canadian Tire stores. So, what's happening beneath the bright sale stickers? On one hand, the company uses big numbers and bright labels to draw your eye and signal savings. On the other, those prices are shaped by a mix of variable regional pricing, dealer discretion, and marketing choices. You can very well save at Canadian Tire, but the appearance of savings is not always the reality. Speaking of savings, here's a very interesting topic of interest concerning the famed Canadian Tire Money. Is it worth anything? Canadian Tire Money is a bait. At first glance, Canadian Tire Money feels familiar and friendly because it looks and acts like cash. For decades, people even kept it in wallets, jars, and drawers. Today, it lives mostly on screens, but the feeling remains the same. You spend money, and something comes back to you. That feeling is not accidental. Canadian Tire Money is now part of the Triangle Rewards system. On paper, the math sounds simple. On most purchases at Canadian Tire, Sport Chek, Mark's, and related stores, shoppers earn about 0.4% back in Canadian Tire Money. That means for every $100 spent, you earn roughly 40 cents in rewards. Using a Triangle credit card can raise this number, but only if you qualify and use it often. This is the first quiet gap between perception and reality. Many shoppers believe they are earning a lot because the rewards are framed as money, not points. But compared to standard cashback credit cards that offer 1% to 2% cashback, the base earning rate is small. The value feels bigger than it is because it is presented in a familiar form. The second gap appears in how the rewards are used. Canadian Tire money is not cash. It cannot be withdrawn. It cannot be used outside the Canadian Tire ecosystem. It can only be spent in specific stores, on specific products, and under specific conditions. This means the reward does not increase your financial freedom. It narrows it. To use the reward, you must return and spend more. This is where the system quietly shifts from reward to pressure. The Triangle app regularly offers bonus events like spend $80, get $10 back. Spend $150, get $30 back. These offers feel generous, but they are conditional. You must cross a spending threshold, often higher than what you plan to spend, to unlock the reward. In practice, this nudges behavior. A shopper who needed one $45 item now adds another $40 item they did not need, just to avoid wasting the offer. The reward feels earned, but the extra spending is real. Research in consumer psychology consistently shows that store-specific rewards increase total spending, not savings. People spend more often, buy more items per visit, and feel satisfied because they are winning something back. The emotional reward arrives immediately, while the financial cost fades quietly. There is also the issue of breakage. You see, not all Canadian Tire money is redeemed. Some expire under inactivity rules. Some sit unused because balances feel too small to matter. Some are forgotten entirely. From the company's perspective, unredeemed rewards reduce cost. From the shopper's perspective, the money was never fully real. Even when redeemed, the value is limited. Canadian Tire money usually cannot be combined freely with all coupons, promotions, or sale conditions. In many cases, it works best on full-priced items, the very items most shoppers should be cautious about buying. None of this makes the program illegal or unusual. Many retailers use similar systems. What makes Canadian Tire's version powerful is its language. Calling it money creates trust. It lowers resistance and makes spending feel safer. Regardless, money that only works in one place, under shifting rules, and only after you spend more, behaves very differently from real money. And once you see that difference clearly, another question starts to form. You just learned how rewards are shaping how people shop. Up next, we'll explore the hidden thread between quality and brand. Let's get into it. Quality might just be in the name. At Canadian Tire, many products look familiar even when the brand name is not. The colors feel right, and the packaging looks solid. The words professional, maximum, or certified appear often. You know why? It's because this design choice is deliberate. Canadian Tire sells many private label brands, meaning the company owns the brand name but does not always make the product itself. Instead, items are produced by third-party manufacturers. It is often the same factories that produce name-brand tools or auto parts, but with different specifications. This distinction matters. Here's an example. A wrench from a famous brand and a wrench from a Canadian Tire private label may come from the same country or even the same industrial region, but they are rarely built to the same standard. The steel grade may be lower, the tolerance may be wider, the finishing steps may be fewer. These changes are usually invisible to the eye. For example, a torque wrench may look identical to a premium brand version. It may even feel heavy and solid in the hand, but internally, the calibration system may drift faster. Over time, this affects accuracy. For casual use, this might not matter. But for repeated or high-stress use, it does. This is where branding fills the gap. Private labels are designed to signal quality even when durability is reduced. Matte finishes, bold fonts, and technical language help the product feel more capable than it may be in long-term use. The shopper does not see the internal compromises, only the promise. Auto parts show this difference even more clearly. Items like brake pads, batteries, and filters are often sold under Canadian Tire brands that appear premium. The price may be lower than a top brand, but still high enough to suggest reliability. In reality, these parts are often built to meet minimum performance standards, not exceed them. They work, but they may not last as long. This is not fraud, it is smart segmentation. Manufacturers routinely produce multiple versions of the same product. One version uses thicker material. Another uses cheaper compounds. One is tested for longer cycles. Another is tested just enough to pass safety rules. Canadian Tire, like many large retailers, chooses versions that balance price, margin, and acceptable performance. The result is a product that performs well enough for most people, most of the time. The problem arises when branding suggests more than well enough. Shoppers often assume that a familiar Canadian Tire label means the same durability as a well-known global brand. That assumption is rarely correct. The logo creates trust. The product delivers function, but not always endurance. Online reviews reflect this pattern. Many products receive strong early reviews and weaker long-term ones. You see reviews like, "Worked great at first, fine for light use, and didn't last as long as expected." These random complaints describe exactly what happens when a product is built to meet a lower lifespan target. The price difference explains part of this, but not all of it. Sometimes, the gap between a private label and a premium brand is small. $10, $15, maybe $20. In those cases, shoppers believe they are getting near premium quality for less. However, the savings often come from internal cost cuts, not branding efficiency. So the question is not whether Canadian Tire products work. They usually do. The real question is what kind of work they are designed to survive, and for how long. And once you start telling quality apart from branding, you're sure to notice the next clue on our list. Can you take a guess? Keep watching to know if you guessed right. Same products, different fits. Walk down the aisles of Canadian Tire and look closely at the labels. You may notice something subtle, like a tool, a battery, or a snowblower. They look familiar, all right. The packaging is identical. Everything seems right except the model number is slightly different. A letter or a number seems to have been changed. Before you call it a mistake, note that Canadian Tire often sells products that appear identical to what you can find elsewhere, but with store-specific model numbers. Sometimes these products are manufactured exclusively for Canadian Tire. Other times, they are slight variations of a standard model, with different materials, slightly lower specifications, or minor design tweaks. From a shopper's perspective, this is confusing. Online reviews may refer to the same item by its widely known model number, but Canadian Tire's version carries its own code. This makes comparing prices or performance nearly impossible without careful research. Let's illustrate with automotive batteries. Two batteries might both claim 550 cca, the same warranty length, and fit the same car. One is sold at a big box electronics store. The other, at Canadian Tire, carries a nearly identical label but a slightly different model code. The Canadian Tire battery may cost more, or sometimes less, depending on the location and dealer. Yet, without careful inspection, a customer might never realize they are not identical. Interesting, right? Well, the same occurs with power tools. A drill sold under a familiar brand might have a Canadian Tire-only model with a minor difference in motor amperage or included accessories. On the surface, the box promises the same capability. Underneath, it may perform slightly differently over time. Why does this happen? Partly, it is a retailer's strategy. By having store-exclusive models, Canadian Tire can control pricing independently of competitors. It can also offer exclusive products that appear rare and make it difficult for consumers to compare across stores. This strategy also protects profit margins. If every product were easily comparable online, pricing pressure would be constant. By introducing minor variations, the store can keep some control over perception and value. For consumers, the effect is subtle but powerful. It feels like a choice. It feels like control. But in reality, the differences are engineered to keep comparisons confusing. You may think you are getting the best deal, but the baseline for that deal is not always visible. The mystery deepens when you realize that even within the same store, two units of the same product may carry slightly different codes, depending on shipment batches. A customer might unknowingly buy a version that has different specifications from the one reviewed online. Illegal? Not quite. Clever? Of course. It's a great way to quietly tilt the playing field in favor of Canadian Tire. The con is that it leaves shoppers uncertain, and this uncertainty leaves shoppers who can't always tell the difference, wondering if they're getting the same product for what it's really worth. While that can be an issue, the next item gets even deeper into the silent system. We'll be finding out about the warranty perk. Is it really a perk? Keep watching. Warranties can be a hassle. It starts simply enough. You buy something. You use it. Weeks or months later, it fails. You take it back to Canadian Tire, confident that the receipt, the label, the store's policies, and even the warranty will protect you. After all, they advertise returns and warranties, little perks that make customers feel safe. The reality can feel different. Canadian Tire's return policies are not uniform. Each store is operated by a local dealer, and while overarching corporate rules exist, how they are applied varies. Some customers report smooth experiences, with staff accepting returns without question. Others describe long waits, repeated explanations, and rigid adherence to conditions. The same product returned in 2 different cities may yield 2 very different outcomes. Warranties add another layer. Many products come with what appears to be generous coverage. A drill might carry a 1-year full warranty. A snowblower, 3 years. On paper, these numbers suggest peace of mind. In practice, claiming a warranty often involves a maze of requirements. We're talking original receipts, proof of purchase dates, correct usage, and sometimes even shipping the item back at your own cost. Some items must be tested in store before replacement is approved. Others require forms filled online, photographs submitted, or approvals from a separate corporate department. The pattern is subtle. The protections exist, but they are not without stress. They demand patience, diligence, and, in some cases, persistence over weeks. For someone unprepared, the process can feel like it costs more time and energy than the product itself. Stories emerge online and in forums. A customer buys a lawnmower that fails halfway through the season. The warranty should cover it. The dealer insists the damage resulted from normal wear, even though the user followed instructions exactly. Another buys a set of tires. After 3 months, one fails. The warranty requires inspection, photographs, and submission to a third party before any replacement. The time invested begins to exceed the financial value of the product. This is exactly where the quiet tension begins. The advertised safety net is real, but only if you understand it, plan for it, and are willing to navigate its hurdles. Many shoppers do not anticipate these hidden costs. When a product breaks, the real price is no longer just what was paid at the till. It is the time, the effort, the frustration, and sometimes the disappointment when a claim is denied or delayed. For Canadian Tire, this system functions subtly. It protects the brand from excessive cost while preserving the appearance of customer care. The store fulfills its promises in principle, but in practice, the process quietly shifts responsibility onto the shopper. This is only part of the story, because how you experience returns and warranties also interacts with how the store sets its prices, rewards loyalty, and markets its products. The moment when a product fails is not just about what broke, it is about the entire framework surrounding that purchase. Which brings us to the next hidden clue in every Canadian Tire store: the surroundings. Want to learn how rows and rows of shelves influence your shopping decisions? Let's take a walk down the aisle. The store tells you where to go. From the moment you step into a Canadian Tire, the store begins to guide you. It's not just the signs. The quiet shaping of the room speaks for itself. The aisles curve and shift. Departments are arranged so that essential sections, automotive, tools, seasonal goods, are never right at the entrance. You move deeper, passing through displays of products you didn't plan to buy. A simple walk to the light bulbs can become a journey past hand tools, gardening supplies, and racks of seasonal gear. This is no accident. Store layouts are carefully considered. Retail designers call it customer flow. The goal is simple: keep people moving. Keep them inside, noticing items that catch their eye. A shopper who spends more time wandering is more likely to pick up something unplanned. Now that's strategy. Near the checkout, the strategy intensifies. You'll see shelves brim with small, brightly packaged items like batteries, socks, flashlights, keychains, and gadgets. They are all cheap enough to feel harmless. They are all small enough to tuck into a hand or pocket without much thought. Yet collectively, they add to the total spend. Each item is carefully chosen for its ability to trigger an impulse. Even the colors and signage are designed to signal urgency. Bright orange and red tags suggest a deal. Small print promises a limited time offer. It all works in harmony with the physical layout to encourage purchases that the shopper did not intend to make. There is also a psychological rhythm to how departments are organized. Heavier, more expensive items, like power tools or automotive batteries, are positioned in the back. You must pass other sections to reach them. Along the way, your attention is captured repeatedly. Each display interrupts your path, creating small pauses where the shopper may consider adding something just in case. This strategy gets a power booster from familiarity. Regular shoppers may think they know the store, but layout changes and seasonal displays break habitual paths. You cannot rely entirely on memory. Even when you are focused, your steps are guided by visual cues, the shape of aisles, and the placement of products. The effect is cumulative. One unplanned purchase seems small. 2 or 3 feel insignificant. By the end of the visit, the total reflects not just what you came for, but what the store designed you to notice along the way. This is more than deception in the criminal sense. It is clever, subtle, and entirely business. Canadian Tire, like many retailers, is aware of how human attention works, how impulse works, and how the physical environment can influence choice. And yet, for shoppers, the experience often feels effortless, even enjoyable. The problem is that while the enjoyment is real, the choices are being nudged quietly. You leave with products you didn't plan to buy, spending more than intended, feeling satisfied while the real influence goes unnoticed. The story of store design intersects with another element that controls how you perceive your purchases: the way products themselves are marketed and labeled. If the layout encourages you to buy, the signage, packaging, and brand signals determine whether you believe you are getting real value. Up next, we will explore something you most likely never knew. It's about why every Canadian Tire gives a different feel, why each store feels different. Here's a hint: it's because they are different. How? Let's find out. Some stores are not parts of the whole. When you step into a Canadian Tire store, it may feel like a single, unified brand. The logos are familiar, the layout is recognizable, the colors and signage look consistent. But behind that uniformity lies a different reality. Most Canadian Tire stores are independently owned franchises, officially called associate dealers. Each dealer runs their own store, making decisions about staffing, product placement, and even some pricing strategies. Corporate guidelines exist, but day-to-day operations are in the hands of these local owners. This structure explains why experiences vary so dramatically. One store may have staff who know every tool, battery, and appliance by heart. Another may struggle with long waits, misplaced items, or limited knowledge in specialized departments. A product that is on sale at one location may appear differently priced at another, not because of error, but because each dealer sets certain local prices within a corporate framework. The franchise model also affects returns and warranties. While corporate policies outline timeframes and rules, the way those rules are applied can differ. A dealer may be flexible, approving a warranty claim quickly. Another may require extensive proof, insist on store inspections, or interpret conditions more strictly. For the shopper, this unpredictability can feel jarring. You expect one experience, but what you encounter depends on the store, not the brand. Even signage and promotions vary. Flyers are created nationally, but individual stores can adjust stock, choose which promotions to emphasize, and even create in-store specials unique to their location. A red tag sale in Toronto may be absent in Calgary. Clearance pricing, bonus offers, and reward events can appear differently depending on local demand and inventory. This is not accidental or deceptive. It is the nature of a franchise system. It allows Canadian Tire to operate hundreds of stores nationwide while keeping costs manageable and tailoring decisions to local markets. But for consumers, it creates a quiet tension. The consistency implied by branding, the promise of a uniform experience, is only partly true. The reality is more fragmented, more variable, more dependent on human decisions at the local level. The inconsistency also extends to customer perception. Online reviews often reflect this divide. Shoppers from the same chain will report contradictory experiences, even when they refer to identical products. One customer praises the helpful staff and accurate signage. Another complains of confusion and poor service. Both experiences are valid, but they do not match the image of a single, homogeneous brand. This raises an important question. Is Canadian Tire truly a single, consistent brand, or is the appearance of uniformity just that, an illusion maintained by logos, colors, and marketing? Understanding the franchise reality is the first step toward answering that. Recognizing that every store is partially independent changes how you approach pricing, promotions, and service expectations. It also sets the stage for a deeper question about the products themselves, the private label brands, the in-house exclusives, and the slightly altered versions of familiar items. Even if you accept the difference in service and pricing, the final item on our list poses a shopping challenge many shoppers are yet to overcome. You know the perks, you're aware of the cons. How then do you make the right choice at the Canadian Tire? Here's how. You just have to buy smart. After walking through the hidden patterns of pricing, rewards, product design, and store layout, it would be easy to feel that Canadian Tire is a trap. That every purchase is carefully nudged, manipulated, or misrepresented. But the reality is more nuanced. Canadian Tire is not inherently bad. It is, in many ways, a practical and reliable resource, when used wisely. Certain purchases still make sense. Clearance items can offer genuine savings. Items on price match, or in cases where the store has reduced stock, can provide value that is measurable and verifiable. And in moments of urgent need, a dead car battery, a broken snowblower, a leaking garden hose, the convenience and availability can outweigh nearly any cost concern. The key is understanding the system rather than reacting to it blindly. When you recognize how pricing tricks work, you notice that discounts often reflect a manipulated regular price. When you understand Canadian Tire Money and Triangle Rewards, you see that it encourages extra spending rather than offering pure savings. When you know the differences in private label products, you can decide whether the price difference matters for your use. And when you are aware of the layout and placement strategies, you can shop with intention instead of wandering into unplanned purchases. A few simple rules can help you buy smart. First off, take a moment to compare prices. Don't assume a red tag means a bargain. Check other retailers or online listings to see whether the deal is real. Be conscious of rewards programs. Treat Canadian Tire Money and Bonus offers as a nice addition, not a reason to spend more than you planned. Use it strategically, not impulsively. You also have to understand the product. Check specifications, model numbers, and long-term durability before assuming that a private label item is equivalent to a premium brand. Decide what level of quality is necessary for your intended use. It's important you plan your shopping route. Know what you need before you enter the store, and stick to that list. Be aware of impulse items near checkout, and consider whether small additions are truly necessary. Need some advice? Leverage the store's strengths. Emergencies, seasonal needs, or clearance events are areas where Canadian Tire often shines. Knowing when to take advantage of these moments can result in real savings and convenience. If you follow these steps, you're sure to ace the shopping game. In the end, the store is not a trap, but a system. And systems have it in. To influence behavior, Canadian Tire shapes how you shop, how you perceive value, and how you respond to promotions. Recognizing this influence allows you to step back, shop deliberately, and make decisions that benefit you rather than the system. The uncomfortable truth is that even trusted, familiar brands carry subtle pressures and expectations. But awareness turns those pressures into tools. When you understand the pricing, the rewards, the product differences, and the store's layout, you are no longer at the mercy of design. You can move through the aisles with purpose. Buy what you need, avoid what you don't, and leave with confidence. Canadian Tire is not the enemy. It is simply a place where knowing the rules and understanding the quiet mechanisms at work makes all the difference between being manipulated and being a smart shopper. If this video just changed how you see the Canadian Tire, let us know in the comments. What smart shopping resolutions did you make? Drop your answers below. Hit that like button. Subscribe so you never miss our next deep dive into the hidden facts about your favorite shopping malls and food brand, because you need to be informed to shop better.